Our performance was very, very good because, as we explained, the revenues have increased by 29%. And that is largely because we're able to get the full benefit of the 280 megawatts, which operated the entire year. We're also able to have some revenues from the steam. We were able to get some revenues from drilling and also some operational efficiencies. So it's those many factors, plus of course a big team, a good team in KenGen that has ensured that we provide that power constantly and stably. And we think that as we move on this way, this is the future.
Our target is around, as you say, rightly say, it will depend. The final cost will depend on the tendering, but it was around 1.7. A lot of that has already been raised. We've got commitment, as I said, from JICA, from European Investment Bank, from African Development Bank, from World Bank, Belgium. So most of it has been committed. The immediate need that we have is just around 6.1 billion that will support us with the Olkaria, $61 million that will support us with the Olkaria 5 and a bit to go to Olkaria 1 Unit 6. So a large chunk of that is already committed through the support that we get from these development financial institutions coming through the government to us.
And then the balance, like for example, Olkaria 6, Olkaria 7 moving forward is the ones we explained that we do through PPP, where we have joint ventures. So what we will not get from the development financial institutions, we'll then do with as a PPP, where we get joint ventures. And I explained that we have a transaction advisor who is helping us develop that model so that going forward, most of the project we intend to see them following this model. On revenue diversification, as already shown in the financials that we've released, last year we did make close to 1.5 billion revenues from just drilling. This year we've already gotten into some contracts also drilling. I may not be able to give you the exact figure, but what I can tell you is that as the developers of those power plants prepare themselves to get the financing that they need, then we'll be able to start and to commence doing this. But what is for sure is that we expect to see revenues increasing from this source so that it's not just from electricity that we expect to be seeing the revenues that KenGen has. We are concentrating a lot on that diversification, and definitely in the days to come, from consultancies, from drilling, and also from steam, we will see more money coming in. Okay. Now on the dividend, I think we've explained this, that we have not changed our dividend policy. What we've said is that when you look at the projects that need to be developed right now, and those projects need money, it is really planting for the growth that we expect to see in the next 4 to 5 years. We have not stopped the dividend. So, and the situation, as the board have explained, is in such a way that this is a situation that will look at looking at the environment that we're operating in, taking into account the shareholders who have invested in the company. We will be able to look at that positively. And at the back of our minds, we know that we have to create value for the shareholders, and they need to be able to get a return as well as some benefits. So it's an issue that we'll definitely discuss. I can't give you the timeline, but it's definitely going to be positive.
From the numbers that we gave, out of the 38 billion, 29 came from electricity-related revenue, and 9 billion came from other revenue, which includes steam and drilling. So really that gives you a component. And looking into the future, we may see a situation where maybe even 30% is coming from other sources of revenue. So anything between 20 and 30. But as per these results, we have 29 billion straight from the electricity-related, and 9 billion total coming from drilling, steam, consultancy, and other sources of revenue. Yeah. African Development Bank want to support us. Currently, they have committed around $450,000 to help us with studies in terms of balance sheet restructuring and what we can do, and how to make the balance sheet better, capacity building and that kind of thing. And then moving forward, they're interested in some of the geothermal projects that we are going to be having. Some of the projects we show that are unfunded, they are interested. We have All Carrier 1 unit, All Carrier 1 rehabilitation. They're keen on that. There's also a topping plant. But they are there together with others who are also interested. But definitely they are looking very, very keenly at the geothermal space and what they can do to support KenGen, being the African Development Bank that it is, and currently they're not in our space. Yeah. What they have committed is more of studying and capacity and the technical advice. And then based on that, the need that arises will indicate how they can come in. But as I said, they're very, very interested in being partners with KenGen. And that's why they have committed money in advance to help us with studies and restructuring our balance sheet and looking how we can do asset-backed security and asset monetization. Those innovative financing mechanisms that we are looking at outside the traditional development financial financing. This is it's already immediate. We're currently moving the process of procuring the technical advisor. That's the stage where we are at the moment. They have already designated somebody, and that should be completed within 6 months in terms of the studies, and then we move into the next phase. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good question about the thermal generation, but let me put it this way. You've seen how the generation mix is, which gives a very balanced view. When I did my presentation, I showed you, for example, that the year before the one we are looking at, the hydros levels were very depressed, basically because we didn't have enough water. 2014, the hydro levels were very good, and there was a lot of generation from hydros. This year as well, we've had very good rains, and the hydros went up. So what that means is that the thermals are really there as standby. We can't do away with them, because what will happen then when we get a big drought, like we had in 2000, and the hydros reduced by about 50%. So the thermals will be there as and when needed during those times of emergency, like drought, like maybe if we have got some maintenance in the geothermal plant, so that then the thermals can come in. What I can assure you though is this, that as we get more of the geothermals, we will see the generation from the thermals coming down. We are currently generally in the nation at about 10% thermals that are generating into the grid. And when more of the green energy comes in, I would want to really believe that the thermals will come to below 10% and even lower than that. The Ministry of Energy and Petroleum are currently looking at the policy. Before, the policy that has been there is what we call the feed-in tariff. They had given a figure that a developer may come and take and start developing. But looking at the trends around the world, it is a situation where the government expresses and says, we want so much of solar being developed. Can we have investors tell us how much they will charge for developing that solar? So, and I think as soon as that policy is released, that is when we can see how much solar will come in. Of course, solar will depend also on how much the grid can take. I do not have that figure. The ministry is looking at that figure, and as soon as it gets the optimal, because it needs to come in such a way that it will not destabilize the system, because we know at night there is no solar. So as soon as that is established, and I believe very soon, probably before the end of the year or early next year, we may be able to see some auctions for development of solar. Okay, thank you very much.